Hi, my name is Akec Makur Chuot, and I play at the Richmond Football Club. I am South Sudanese. I will always be South Sudanese. I am a proud South Sudanese woman. For me, as a proud South Sudanese woman, I love talking about my culture, about where I come from, and what our beliefs are. I was born in South Sudan, a small village town called Aguran, and when I was 3 months, I moved to Kenya with my family. We lived in Kenya for 11 years before relocating to Perth, Western Australia in 2005. My family and I resettled in Perth, Western Australia. And the reason why we came to Perth, Western Australia was because my mom is a single mom. She wanted to provide us with better opportunities. She wanted to make sure that we got education. She wanted to make sure that we can, have careers and make something of ourselves. Different opportunities that she never got to have. And for her as a single mom, she gets to have that, and she gets to have that dream fulfilled for her children. My older siblings have gone on to do incredible things, and I'm very proud. And because of them, I get to be able to follow my dreams and be able to, chase them down. When I came to Australia, I was very interested in sports, and I wanted to just play soccer when I was young, and I played soccer until about when I was 18. And, one of the main reasons I played soccer was because, I grew up with my older brothers, and they were very mad soccer fans. And I used to support the Arsenal Football Club because of my older brother. And I supported a guy named Thierry Henry, number 14 for Arsenal at the time. And this guy just kind of made me dream. Like, I was like, yep, I'm going to be like him when I grow up. And that was one of my idols growing up. And that's why I followed the Arsenal Football Club. When I was in Kenya, I wasn't allowed to play sports, and this was very tough because it was only the boys that were allowed to play. And in particular, the refugee camp that we stayed at, the Kenyan refugee camp that we lived at. The Kenyan refugee camp setup was that there were tribes and people that were put in groups, and this kind of made the whole transition easier. And for us, we got put with people that were from our background, and people were mainly from our tribe, and it was very it was cool. But then at the same time, there was not a lot of opportunity for us young women to be able to, excel and play sports. We can only go to school, go to church, and then we mainly had to just do housework and stuff. But it wasn't until we went to the capital city, which is Nairobi, where a teacher introduced me to sports. And for me, that was like the best thing that was ever done for me. And I started playing like lunchtime with my friends. We'll just play like different types of sports, and our favorite sport was soccer, and we played soccer for a very long time. And I'm really thankful that this teacher did that because, when I came to Australia, I came with the love that I had for soccer. And then one of the teachers was like, you can play for a local team down in your suburb. And I was like, oh, really? I can do that. So in 2006, I enrolled down at Bulga Soccer Club, and it was just phenomenal. It was hard. It was hard at first because there was only a few of us. It was a mixed team. We were going to be playing against boys. And then having to go home and explain to my family that I wanted to play soccer was the next hurdle. So I went home, I explained to my older brother that I wanted to play soccer. He said no. And for a while I wasn't allowed to play soccer, but it wasn't until my mom stepped in and said, hey, she just wants to play soccer. Like what's wrong with that? Like, she wants to play sports. Let's let her. And my brother was like, he was a bit like, apprehensive at first, but then I think once my mom stepped in, he kind of didn't have a choice but to let me. And I'm really, really glad that she did because, I get to now live out my childhood dreams. I get to live out, my dreams of, playing professional sports at the highest level there is in Australia. And I never thought that would be possible. But it was possible because of my mom and the sacrifices that she did, and being the pillar of, pushing for all those opportunities for us and our family. So finally, I was allowed to play soccer, and I quickly just excelled in soccer. 2006, 2007, I was just kind of just playing soccer, loving it, learning. I was just soccer mad. And then a few years later, I started making state team. I even went to China when I was 15 to represent the All Australian schoolgirls. And it was awesome just to see that this is what sports can do. This is the opportunities that sports can provide young people, and especially a young person like myself who, grew up I grew up in a refugee camp, and I just never thought that I'll be in the position that I am in today. So that's what sports opened up for me. When I was 19, I got to that point where I kind of just hit like a stop button, and I just wanted to do something different. So I started, I got invited to go and play at a multicultural football team, and these guys were just phenomenal. They invited me to play for the season, and it was like organized games when they could organize games. So they organized these like games, and it wasn't like a full season, but it was amazing because it was like all these kids from different multicultural backgrounds, and we were all learning the game. And that was my first proper time actually playing with a team. My first ever contact with AFL football was when I was in year 10. The East Perth Football Club, and a teacher gave me a flyer, and he said, hey, go and try this one day football carnival. So I played there, and I just loved it. I was given the MVP for the day. Didn't really understand what that meant, but I was like, thanks, no problem. I still wasn't convinced. Then I went back to soccer, and then in 2012 I decided, yep, I'm gonna try and take a bit of be serious about this football. So I joined the Edmund Rice Centre Lions. And then after that, after having such a great season, I was like, okay, maybe it's time I played for a team. So again, I then decided to join a women's football team. So I joined a women's football team in 2013. Then I played with the Mount Lawley Hawks. I played a season there. I was picked for the state team, which was incredible. Just the opportunity to be able to go and live my dreams again at a national stage was just awesome. And at the time, I was playing against girls like Daisy Pearce and the Moana Hopes and Asta O'Connor and all these girls, and I was like, whoa, this is just amazing. And then I had Chelsea Randall and Cara Antonio and Kirby Bentley. These were my teammates, and I was just like, they're big names in AFL women competition, and I was like, wow, those girls are now my teammates, and they were my teammates in my first year at state, which was just kind of inspired me to go and work hard for whatever that's next. Then fast forward 2016, the AFL announced that they were launching the AFL women's competition, and for me, I was like, oh, that's great, good for them. I was watching the live stream that day, and I was just so excited because I was like, we finally get to have a women's competition. The AFL women's been around for so long, and finally we get to have a women's competition where women are able to, become elite and professional athletes. And I was super excited. And growing up, I supported the West Coast Eagles, and I just wanted the Eagles to have a team so I can barrack for the women's Eagles team. That wasn't the case. Fremantle got the license that year. And I was like, I was a bit sad, but then at the same time I was like, good for them, because at least we get to have a team here in WA. Fast forward a couple of months later, I've been invited down by the Fremantle Dockers to go and do a trial day. I did the trial day, and then, fast forward to October, my name's being called at the National AFL Women's Draft, and it was just incredible. Like, I just never really expected that. I just never expected my name to be called at the the National AFL Women's draft that day. And then it was like at pick 139, the Fremantle Dockers draft Akec Makur Chuot. And for me, it was just like an emotional, incredible moment, because I just never expected that. But because this opportunity is now come to me, that now this opportunity I have, I was like, yep, I now gotta go and do what I gotta do, so it was amazing just being a part of the first ever inaugural AFL women's competition. And it was phenomenal experience. And for me, I get to have that for the rest of my life. I get to tell my future kids that, what, I played in the first ever AFL women's competition. As a young kid that came from a refugee camp, my dreams were, I wanted to be a sports star. I didn't know what sport it was going to be, but that was my dream since I was little, and that dream came true. Fast forward to 2020, I am now living in Victoria. I got delisted at the end of the 2017 season. I was then out of the system for 2 years, and I then made the decision to relocate to Victoria in 2018 to keep pursuing my AFL dream, because I knew I wasn't done. So I came and played with the Carlton Football Club in the VFLW, spent a season there, and then in 2019 I wanted a different change, so I went down to the Richmond Football Club, where I played a season with them in the VFLW, and then they gave me my second shot to be playing AFLW for 2020 in their first inaugural season. So again, the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because, you guys are going to have bumps and hurdles along the way, but if you have a dream, what I've always learned as a young person growing up is that if you have a dream, if you're committed, and you know why you're doing it, there's never anything that's going to stop you. And I think that's what I've now taken on with my life and everything that I do. And this is why I wanted to share that story with you guys, because you might have things that you're doing, projects that you're doing, and you're kind of feeling like, oh yeah, I don't know how I'm going to be able to achieve that. Like, I didn't actually know how I was going to be able to achieve half of the things that I've achieved now, but I've been able to. Apart from playing AFL, I also work at the AFL as a Multicultural Development Officer, and my role there is to come up with programs that get young kids from multicultural backgrounds to play football. So I get to do that on a daily, every day, which is phenomenal, because for me, I was given these opportunities and I took them with two hands. And for me to be able to give those same opportunities back to my community and the people and those young kids, I absolutely love, and that's why I absolutely love my job at the AFL. When I was invited to come and do this talk, I was very excited because the future for us young people. I'm a bit of a little bit of a much older young person. Like, I'm still very young at heart, but I feel like I'm kind of on that back end of being young. Like, I feel like we are in a space now where we live in a world where it's up to us as young people to be able to create initiatives, to be able to be a part of these big movements that are happening in the world. For me, I've been a big firm believer in using my voice and my platform to be able to stand up for other people that don't have the same platform as I do. I've been very lucky as a Black African woman who lives in Australia, and I have come across so many different challenges like racism, challenges like seeing my community the way that they're being targeted, challenges with seeing people in my own community struggling to find jobs, challenging with myself, finding jobs and all of that stuff. So there's been so many different challenges, and for me, it's important to be able to speak on those challenges that I face and the people in my community face. And this is why I will always be an outspoken individual who, stands up for what is right and stands up for the rights of other people and the right of my own humanity as well as a human being. Social justice in our world today is so big, and especially as young people, you have the opportunity now to be a leader. You have the opportunity to lead the way. You have the opportunity to live in a world where you're like, you know what? I was the one that instigated that movement. I was the one that instigated that change, because when I look at us, we are progressive young people. We are progressive. We are able to think on our feet. We're able to. We don't then now get to look at the past, because all the wrongdoings, all the things, the policies, all the things that have been done around the world, that were done before we were born. So for us, we are coming with a fresh look at the world, and we have now very powerful tool, which is social media. And for me, the way I use social media, I use my social media as an opportunity to be able to inspire and shift a conversation with certain topics that I always cover in my daily life. And this is why I am asking you guys to be able to, lead the way as young people, not be afraid to be outspoken, not be afraid to be able to stand up for what you believe in. I've always been known as, at my house, as the honest person. I've always been known as the person that, if you ask me something and you want the honest answer, you go to Akec, because I will tell you as it is. But it's not to be able to disempower you. It's the opportunity of empowering people. When you're honest, you want to leave people empowered. Even though sometimes it sounds too harsh, you also want to leave them empowered so they can actually take action on the thing that you are honest about. And especially in 2020, we live in a world where it's not a world that is built on honesty, a whole lot of honesty, because there's politicians, there is the internet, the people that use the internet badly, there's the media, there's so many different aspects of our society today that just really bring a lot of dishonesty and just kind of drift us apart as a community. And I believe, especially us as young people, we have so much power in coming together and coming up with some seriously amazing initiatives to be able to shift conversation, to be able to make these movements stick and make these things, make these changes happen for the betterment of our community. And I strongly feel that because the world that we live in today is very tricky, and it's a tricky world, especially as young people, to navigate. We sometimes, when you go to our parents, don't necessarily tell us what we need to hear. They're always going back to the past. But for us, we need to look for the present and the future. The future is what we know. The present is what we know, and the future is where we're heading to. And for me, I believe that our next generation, the generation of young people, you guys are going to be the ones that are going to be the most powerful force of leadership there is, because the world is going to be looking up to you guys to be able to make these changes happen, to be able to have these uncomfortable conversations, because they are needed. They're needed so that we can make this world a better place for every single person that is on this planet. We can make this world a better place for Black people. We can make it a better place for white people. We can make it a better place for Indians. We can make it a better place for Indigenous people. We can make it a better place for every single human being that lives here, and that their values are respected, their humanity is respected, and that we can stand side by side as humanity to be able to go, you know what, we live in this world together. That's the bottom line. I believe that we live in this world together, so we must now together as a team get on the same playing field and play this game properly. Because for me as an athlete, I saw a great analogy, which for me as an athlete, I don't just get on the football field there and think that I am gonna go and take on the 18 other people on the other team. No, that's not that's not what I do. What we're able to then do is that we have structures, and we have, as a defender, there's a forward, there's a midfield. And for us, when we come together, we link together, we are able to score goals. We are then able to stop goals. And that's pretty much what playing as a team is. And I think that's what all these social justice, the gender pay gap that's in the world, is a big one, and it's something that affects me on a daily, especially as an AFL women's footballers, because a lot of the people argue that, as a woman AFL footballers, we are not competitive. But I say, why are you comparing us to the men? Why do you compare us to the men? We are a different product. We are a product that came through about 4 years ago. We're now heading into our 5th season as a new product. And as women, we have different traits. We have our own different strength. We know what we bring to the table. So why are we always being compared to the men? Like, why are we being compared to the men? Or their skills are not that great, so we should not pay them. That's not an argument, because at the end of the day, our product is essential. Our product is getting the next wave of future AFL women stars to play the game. So for us, it's obviously, for me, I understand that we are now in a process of starting something that's so great. We are now a part of a movement that is now going to shift that conversation. So when the future young girls come and take over the AFLW competition in the future, they then have the opportunity to become full-time professional athletes, as we unfortunately don't have now. A lot of us have to juggle 2 careers at the same time, as well as being expected to all of a sudden overnight become the greatest athlete there is. And unfortunately, that's never going to be the case for us at the moment, because for us, you go and do a 12-hour shift, you go and do an 8-hour shift, and then you got to go and play football after work. And that's the reality, because then, for us, we understand that's just a reality at the moment. And it's unfortunate, but that's why we must keep fighting to make it an equal playing field for every single person, for women to be able to go, you know what, we are full-time professional athletes, and I believe that if we keep having these conversations, we will get there. Momentum will shift, and it's not gonna take us as women footballers to just sit there in silence and say, oh, we can't talk about it. Another part of social justice that I'm very vocal about is the issue of racism. As an African woman who, has a black skin, I see my family, I see my friends, I see myself go through it on a daily basis. And for me to sit there as an athlete who has a platform, I'm not doing justice to my community. So for me, I got to be a leader in that field. I got to be able to use my voice and be able to speak to people about why it's important that, Black people are able to be respected and live in this world free, without the fear of being prosecuted, without the fear of, having somebody stepping on your knees, on your neck with their knee and killing you, without the fear of, going in custody because you've been arrested, and knowing that you're not coming back alive. The next time your family sees you, you are going to be in a grave. That is the reality we have as Black people. And that's why I can't afford to sit around and say, oh, I am going to protect my image. I'm going to protect, because at the end of the day, I am going to have kids in the future, and my kids are going to have, their kids. And I don't want them to be and deal with the things that I've dealt with as a young person right until now. And I say that because it's going to take me using my voice. It's going to take me being a leader to be able to lead that conversation, so that we can actually have some tangible actions. That's what's going to take. That's what the world needs now. The world needs people that are going to lead from the front. We also need people that are going to lead from the back, because people that lead from the front are leaders. People that lead from the back. If you're a leader that leads from the back, and you push people to do great stuff, you're great. And that's what us young people are able to do now, because we have the social media, and sometimes there's all these great campaigns that get put forth, and these campaigns are started with leaders that are leading from the back, and then it takes all of us to be able to jump on board and make these initiatives actually matter. They make a massive impact. And it's the same thing with the Black Lives Matter initiative. It's, for a lot of people, they're like, oh, it's a political movement. For us people of color, for us Black people that have to deal with racism and the racial discrimination on a daily basis, from the media, from just walking down the street. I can't just walk down the street and not be looked at weirdly, because people are thinking that I'm about to go and rob their cars. I get called names like all kind of names, and sometimes you look at that and you're like, wow, this is why I cannot afford to sit around and not be able to say something. So I guess what I wanted to leave you guys with here, and the advice that I wanted to leave you guys with here is, sometimes if it means that you you don't have any friends just because you're being honest and leading and making things happen, then it's okay, because what you have to say is important and it matters, and that it's going to make a massive difference in the world that we live today, especially the world that is our world today has just so many issues, and I'm so glad these issues has arise, because it's giving us the opportunity to be able to speak about them. And I guess the last advice I wanted to leave you guys with is, to be bold and fierce leaders. Like, be outspoken, never apologize for what you have to say, and be the change that the world wants to see. Sometimes I feel like that people just say that, but I honestly mean it, because sometimes it will take you guys as the next generation. It's going to take the next generation to be able to make these changes. And when you stand up and you are a leader, you got to make sure that you stick it out, because there's going to be bumps along the roads. Just like in my journey, there's been bumps along the road. There's going to be bumps along the road when you are making, you're standing up for something. When you're standing for something, it's never easy. It's never going to be as straightforward as you think. But the more you stick to it, the more you hold to why you started in the first place, the better of a world that everyone's going to live in. So I thank you for being so open to expanding your leadership and expanding your stand in this world that we live in today. And I applaud you for being that, and I applaud you for taking the opportunity of your busy schedule to be able to sit here today and listen to me speak and listen to everyone that's here today. So thank you. If you're in Victoria, please keep safe. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your community and take care of your family. If you're around the world or around Australia, please stand in solidarity with us, because we need you guys more than ever. As Australians, I've always known that we stick together through everything, through every adversity, and I promise when we do that, we will become a better unit for it. So please stick with us, keep us in your prayers, and yeah, we'll get through it as a community. So thank you so much. Thank you to Romina and everyone for getting me involved in this great, awesome initiative that's helping young leaders to become great people. So thank you. God bless you all and have a good day.
We're from Tigerland, a fighting fury, we're from Tigerland. In any weather you will see us with a grin, risking head and shin. If we're behind, then never mind, we'll fight and win, for we're from Tigerland. We never weaken till the final siren's gone, like the tiger of old.